All right, so today we're going to be talking about the cost of growth, what you lose and what you gain. I tell my team all the time that sometimes in the pursuit of your goals and your dreams, it isn't so much about doing something new, it's about stopping doing what you're doing. So often we think that in order to achieve greatness, we have to add to what it is that we're doing, but sometimes you have to take away. And in taking away, that means that ultimately sometimes you have to sacrifice. In my case, I have had to sacrifice obvious things like sleep, peace of mind, friends, relationships, bad habits I've had to do. And sacrifice itself has such a bad connotation attached to it in most instances. But when you think about what you're sacrificing now in the short term versus what you're actually going to gain in the long term, one can question, is it really a sacrifice? But, or is this sacrifice really a bad thing? And so if I have to do without something in the short term that will ultimately get me to achieve the goal or the dream that I have for the long term, then I am willing to sacrifice that. But, throughout my journey, whether that was health and fitness, whether that's business, or even my personal growth, I have had to sacrifice things. And sometimes I had to sacrifice people. But in growth and evolution, sacrifice is really the cost that you pay to be the person that you were born to be. Whenever you are actively working towards something great, right, is oftentimes you will be misunderstood by sometimes even the people closest to you. And especially on, my entrepreneurial journey, it's a very lonely journey. Where I do have people who are in my life, my wife, I have an amazing team. At the end of the day, I still often find myself alone, thinking about the things that I have to do, thinking about the people I am responsible for. And a lot of times people can't relate. And so I do have to sit alone sometimes. Sometimes, it's me by myself because I can't require my team to do what I do, can't require my wife to do what I do. I am the person that is responsible for moving the path forward, moving the train forward. And so sometimes I got to go out and build the track and drive the train. And it is a lonely. I remember when we were first getting this space, even moving the stuff from the storage unit. I didn't have a team then. I didn't, my wife was doing her own stuff. But I literally, throughout the course of a couple of days, loaded my little bus with all of the gear from our storage unit, and I brought them here, and I had to offload it, and oftentimes, especially in entrepreneurship, it tends to be lonely. And so what I have done is I have actually gotten very good with being alone. I love my company. I'm fucking awesome. And so I don't mind being alone because I'm alone doesn't automatically mean that I am lonely. Sometimes you have to, by choice, remove yourself from the crowd because you spend so much time trying to justify your vision and your dream and your goal and your aspirations to people. And that in and of itself is exhausting. And so sometimes being alone is actually a greater benefit than being around people who don't understand. And I have learned to be okay with my own company. Like, I love my own company. But I am now at this crossroad where I have to remind myself that I am not alone. Especially, with my media company, I have to remind myself that I am not alone and that I do have a team and that I have to trust them enough and give them the opportunity to come on this journey with me by helping me build this thing. I have to trust my wife to join me on this journey in life, and trust that she can help me build the home life that I want, right? And so I'm very fine with being alone, almost to a fault. And now I'm at the point of my process where, even though at the end of the day it's still me who has to drive it, I realize that when I look up and look around, I'm not on this journey by myself. And so now I have to remind myself that I do have people who are on this journey with me. And so that's my new challenge. Being alone is easy now. Now is trusting the people who show up every day to journey with me, trusting them to give them the opportunity to help me on this journey so that I don't have to do it alone. That's my challenge today. On this journey of wealth creation and building this empire, there was a lot of limiting beliefs I grew up with. There was a lot of my mindset that was influenced from my childhood that I had to change. And one of the biggest things was, I guess, my scarcity mindset. Growing up, we didn't have much, and I get it. My mom did the best that she could, but it was 4 kids, 1 mother, 3 boys, 1 girl, and she was struggling. And so even, growing up, you heard no so much that you learned to stop even wanting, because as kids, you want stuff you ask. And so you hearing, oh, you think money grow on trees, or, the love of money is the root of all evil, and all of these different things that we grew up hearing, just not having enough, got to make enough to survive. Like, that really crippled my mindset, especially when it came to money, because I realized that I had a scarcity mindset, and having to unlearn that was a big challenge. So much so that I remember talking to my financial planner, and it was almost like therapy, right? Because in a scenario, I really told him that I got uncomfortable seeing money on my account, like, because it was like, okay, well, it's gonna go, or I was like subconsciously would just blow the money because I ain't supposed to have the money on my account. Like, growing up, you heard, oh, that money can burn a hole in your pocket, so you got to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And so learning to be comfortable with that money on that account, and then, really learning that I deserve to be wealthy. Like, I am deserving of wealth. Because growing up, that was something that I learned, that it was for them, not for us. It's for those people over there. Also, that everybody with money had to lie, cheat, or steal to get it. And that isn't necessarily the case. Like, I mean, of course, you have some people that do that, but, I've had the opportunity after my mindset shift to meet some amazing people who I have all believe that, they are upstanding people, and they have amassed their wealth legitimately, legally. And, I can't put my head on chopping block for nobody, but I have my new truth is that no, you don't have to be a cheat, a liar, or a thief to amass wealth, because I am none of those things, and I am well on my way to building my empire and creating wealth, not just for me, but for my children and my children's children and generations to come. You know, especially with social media all the time, you see the highlight reels of everybody's entrepreneurial life. And I think some of the things that social media and even just people in general glamorize is this illusion of, you know, you have all this time in the world, you know, the travel, the trips, the jet setting, the fancy dinners. And, you know, the reality is that comes on the back of, on the heels of so many long, late nights, so many lonely nights, so much heartache, so much heartbreak. It's like, it's rough, right? Like, it's rough. Like, it's extremely difficult being an entrepreneur. And, you know, people just have a tendency to show or to glamorize the highlights. You know, even in fitness, you know, they glamorize the six pack or, you know, the fit body. And the reality is that nobody just wakes up one morning and has a fit body. It takes so much time, energy, and effort doing things when nobody's looking. You know, what are you doing in the late night or the early morning hours? Like, I literally just told my wife last night, I said, you know what, I'm proud of you. She's in prep for her competition, and, you know, she has to do like 18,000 steps a day or something like that. And up until 7 o'clock that night, she had only done 6,000, so that's 12,000 steps. And so that's almost 2 hours worth of steps that she had to do. And she got on her walking pad, and literally she walked for 2 hours and 10 minutes. And that's what people don't see, but they glamorize when her hair is done and the body and the six pack, and they say, "Oh, I want that." And this is look at you, and you're so lucky, and it's genetics and all this stuff. But they don't see the hard work, the consistent, the boring work that goes into that. And so there's so much about, you know, growth and evolution and the pursuit of your goals that people glamorize. But it's like the truth is that growth isn't glamorous. It's often painful. You know, success has a cost, and it's a cost sometimes that you don't want to pay, but you have to pay, because you have to pay the cost to get where it is that you want to be. And so, yeah, you know, be wary of what you see on social, because it ain't what you all think it is on this side, bro. You know, for somebody who's afraid to grow because they're afraid of losing people or losing comfort, my thing is, the real ones in your life, as far as losing people, the real ones are going to be with you regardless. Nobody who really cares about you and who you really want in your life is going to give you shit about trying to do better. And I think that really is the qualifier, right? Like, I am really trying to do something to better myself as an individual, to maximize my potential, to really walk in alignment with my purpose. And anybody that feels as though you shouldn't do that and they can't be with you on your journey towards achieving that, then you don't need them in your life. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if that's your mommy. I don't care if that's your brother. I don't care if that's your sister. I don't care if that's your spouse. I don't care if that's your best friend. I don't care if that's your children. It's like anybody who has a problem with you working to become the best version of yourself, and you doing that, risk losing that that runs the risk of you losing them in your life. You don't need them. I heard something that was so profound. And the guy said, I am loyal to you as long as being loyal to you does not make me disloyal to myself. And I felt that way. And I honestly, I never articulated it like that, but, you know, I am loyal to you as long as being loyal to you does not make me disloyal to myself. I have to put myself first. I have to invest my time, energy, efforts, and resources in becoming the best possible version of myself. And if me doing that means that I'm going to lose some people along the way, I'm fully prepared to do that. On the other side is comfort is the enemy of achievement, but like we've heard over and repeatedly that growth happens outside of your comfort zone, whether it's by choice or by circumstance. Like you want to get uncomfortable, like so much so that I literally have it tatted on my body, get uncomfortable. And so I do believe that if you're going to move to become successful, if you're working to become the best version of yourself, that requires growth, and growth requires discomfort, because that's why they call it growing pains. And so if you want to grow but be comfortable, then I call bullshit. That just means that you don't want to grow bad enough. And if you're afraid to lose people if you're afraid to lose people as a result of your growth, my thing is you don't want those people in your life in any event, because you don't want to be with people, you don't want to have people around you who are going to stifle and stunt and possibly stop your own personal growth. Growth has a price, but so does staying the same. So choose wisely. Remember, get uncomfortable and do the work, because the world needs your greatness. Peace.